Thanks. My name is Mark. How I discovered contemplation is mostly through suffering. And one of my key teachers is Richard Rohr, and he says, maybe you've heard the phrase, if you have read his books, is that we are transformed through great love or great suffering, and most of us through suffering. And so I want to get a little bit vulnerable because the context of how we contemplate is in our embodied lives. And that's where the suffering happens, and that's where the miracles happen too. I discovered Richard's work through a divorce that I went through, and I had a book called Adam's Return. It was about male spirituality on my shelf. All through my marriage, and we were living in a Catholic worker community, we were doing great work, but it's not a great context for a first year of marriage, just to kind of put that out there. And but I had 12 people, homeless folks in the house and everything. But I had his book on my shelf, and after we separated, I picked that book up, and it was like I couldn't read the Bible. I was going through a dark night of the soul too. I didn't know if I believed in God. I didn't, and believe it or not, I was in the ordination process at the time. So I was asking these big questions, and that book was like an arrow to my soul. He says in that book there are some major questions that men have to ask themselves, and that all of us have to ask ourselves is, we're not in control, we're going to die, we are not important, and there's a couple other good ones. So just right to the heart. And so when the Center for Action and Contemplation came up with a 2-year program of studying the Christian mystics, I read that announcement, and it was like a electricity in my heart. I said, I have to be a part of that. And so I started following him around and going to Catholic retreat centers. I was the only former evangelical amidst, Catholic folks, and so he became my primary teacher, and we've got some living school students in the house and alumni. Can you raise your hand? It's good to see a crew there. And I would say that contemplation, I would be lost without contemplation, because contemplation gave me my life. I also have suffered for years from anxiety and depression. And the only way that I am able to see reality as it is through practices of contemplation, through turning intentionally toward the gaze of love, as Bo talked about, because that gaze of love is sitting through me, is there always. It's a waterfall of love towards me and towards you. But we've all got our shadow work to do that blocks that love, and so the thing is, once you start to taste that love, and you step under that waterfall, nothing else compares. You can't go back, and so. Contemplation becomes about how I see the whole of reality, how I respond to the whole of reality, but it manifests in these particular practices, but hopefully it becomes a way of viewing the world and a lifestyle. So I want to close by just having you look around at each other, because we're up here, and Barbara said, we're invited as the contemplatives, but I want you to look around at each other in a conscious moment. So do that. Just look around. Because the gaze of love is flowing toward you. And you are a contemplative. You might not know it yet. But we are all being invited to awaken to the Holy Spirit, the Trinitarian flow of love. May it be so. Amen.